Well, hello and welcome to episode 109 of Drink the Movies. I'm Brian here as always with Michaela. And Michaela, we are putting to close another year in the books. 2022 has come. It has mostly gone. It's going to be gone in a couple of days anyway. But how are you feeling? How are you feeling about the way that 2022 wrapped up?
2022 wasn't a bad year. I think we all kind of came into this year thinking that we're not, there was jokes about it where it was like, don't be getting crazy. Let's just walk in quietly with our
Yeah,
arms in the air, showing
don't
we're not
scare
going to
it.
hurt don't scare it because we
Hmm.
don't know what's going to happen. I have to say, I think from a movie perspective, the theaters are kind of back to where they were at least in our area, pre-COVID.
Getting there, yeah.
The theaters are filling up, and so I'm seeing a lot more people who are masking being in the theaters, and people are leaving them alone to do that, and I like that. um
Hmm.
and gosh, this year was just it's fast. It went by real fast. I will say, I can't believe that 2023 is in a couple of days.
Yeah, absolutely. We are making our way through the year. We did a lot of stuff this year in regards to Drink the Movies, Michaela. We covered this past 52 weeks. I think we did like 49 movies. We did two dedicated to the Oscars, and then this one, the best of 2022, we're calling this episode. So, yeah, 49 movies. That's 49 cocktails, plus a couple bonus cocktails for some of the episodes, like Empire Records, where we did a whole bunch of those. We did a bunch of cocktails for our Blade Runner episodes. And then, of course, the lobby bars. Thank you, everyone who's been joining in for the lobby bar to get a bonus cocktail and a little bit of movie news. That's
Yeah.
always a good time. But yeah, this year it's been good. It's been crazy. It's still kind of, I don't know, it still kind of feels weird. Ever since, 2020, every year feels like the chance for a year to be back to normal. And I think that's just the world we live in now. Every year is going to be a little bit crazy, and we're just gonna have to roll with the punches. And what better
Yeah.
way to ring in a new year to roll in the punches, but then with a couple of really good champagne and mocktail, faux champagne cocktails. Let's drop the ball. Let's get 2023 in here, Michaela. And I have the perfect drink for us. This is the ginger limoncello sparkle. It has some of my favorite things in there. Limoncello, champagne. And this one's also going to use some ginger liqueur. We made everyone buy ginger liqueur way back in an episode for something. What was that? Oh, that was for the Fifth Element. We bought ginger liqueur for that, Michaela, and
Oh yeah, the
we're
Flossed Paradise.
we're finally going to finish off the bottle.
Great. Unlike the champagne, which we have had 16 bottles since. I love this because it's got some of my favorite things. I love limoncello. I had the opportunity to make limoncello once. And so maybe I'll do that for New Year's if I have enough time. I don't know if I do, but limoncello is actually something you can find at a liquor store. I
Mhm.
recommend putting it in the freezer because warm limoncello is not nearly as good as frozen limoncello. Yeah. So tell me all about it. Tell me what's it got in it.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, you can find limoncello just at your liquor store. Generally speaking, the more you spend on one is more likely to come from Italy, be a little bit better quality. But you can use kind of anything you want to go in here. If it's something you're new to, probably stick with a cheaper bottle and you're going to be a-okay. But what you're going to do is you're going to take 2 ounces of limoncello and 2 ounces of your ginger liqueur. We are going to be using the Domaine de Canton that we used back for the Flossed in Paradise, but you can use any ginger liqueur that you want. You can put in a squeeze of fresh lemon if you feel so inclined, roughly about a tablespoon or so, just to squeeze a little lemon wedge in there to brighten it up a little bit. You're going to shake that with ice and then strain it. This is enough for 4 cocktails. So put that into your champagne flutes and then top it with some champagne or sparkling wine, cava, prosecco. I would probably steer away from prosecco because it might be a little sweet. I like kind of the breadier, more champagne,
Mm.
cava, better American sparkling wine that's made in the champagne style. And you're going to sip it and enjoy. Now you can garnish that glass with some sugar if you want to sugar that rim. Feel free, just kind of like a lemon drop martini. But this is like a lemony French 75. It's going to be very unctuous from the limoncello. Delicious, Michaela. Delicious.
Ah, sounds amazing. I'm super excited. Um, I think from a champagne perspective, because we're adding this to a bunch of other stuff, I want to say, and you could speak for this, Brian, but you don't have to do anything super expensive to get to make this drink come out nicely. I mean, one of the things that 2022 has afforded us is the ability to not spend, $60 on champagne if we don't want to. The liquor stores have a lot of options. There's a cava that you really like that we could send a picture to, because I can't remember its name. But you've been able to really help us novices like myself find great champagne and not spend a fortune. And especially if you're going to add it to something like this, don't worry about spending a ton of money on the champagne to do it.
Yeah, for sure. I wouldn't spend more than $25 on anything that I ever mix with anything champagne wise. So yeah, just get some sparkling cava is my favorite. It's made in the same way as champagne. So check one of those out and give this cocktail a try, because it's really good. It is really kind of neat and a little bit different if you're having a New Year's Eve party, or just having a toast yourself to celebrate 2023 ringing in the new year. But that is the alcoholic version we've got going on. Michaela, what about a mocktail? Maybe you got youngsters, or maybe you're being the designated driver, or maybe 2023 is the year of cutting back a little bit.
That's right.
What's the mocktail look like?
The mocktail's amazing. So I made this a couple of nights ago. We had a bunch of kids at the house that wanted to enjoy a kind of a cocktail experience with their parents. We were doing bubbles as well, and I thought, I'll make this. This is completely on the fly. So some people are going to like it, some people aren't. But here it is. I'm going to call this the Charlotte Sparkle. Okay. And it's 2 cans of your favorite lemon lime soda. We use Diet Sprite. 2 cans of sparkling water. The sparkling water, we use clear water, which and the flavor that we used was blueberry lemon, but you could easily do cranberry or lime or lemon or any of the sparkling waters that you want. And it's 2 regular cans of that. 1 bottle of Fever Tree's grapefruit soda. There's no alcohol in it. It's where you can find that, where you can find all the tonics from Fever Tree. And it's just one of those little 8-ounce bottles. And then 2 ounces of cherry juice or grenadine, whichever you have on hand. We do a lot of Shirley Temples, so we have a lot of Bing and maraschino cherry jars in our house. So we just use 2 ounces of the juice from that jar. And you're going to just put all of that into a container, and you're going to lightly stir it. Because it's already carbonated, you don't want to stir out too much of the carbonation. So just make sure that you stir that grenadine or the cherry juice in it, or else it'll sink to the bottom. And then you can pour it into a fancy glass, and you could use a sprig of holly as your garnish. You could put some cherries at the bottom if you wanted to make it a little pretty. You could do a rim of any sort of sugar crystals, anything like that to make it really fancy. My kids loved it, and I tried it and thought it was really, really good. If you are doing the sober thing and still wanting to celebrate, I really liked this drink. So.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. And it sounds, not quite as sweet as some, more kid-centric mocktails. So this sounds like it would be good for anyone who just wanted something sparkly to hold a nice glass in their hand. Perfect for that. And yeah, like I said, perfect for anyone who might be cutting back, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, so give both of those a try. Let us know what you think of them, and let us know what your cocktail of choice is going to be for New Year's Eve as we ring in the new year and kick 2022 out the door. But Michaela, once a year we like to get together. We like to just do kind of a little year-end recap. So we thought that's what we do for everyone today. So why don't we take a quick break, and then we'll be back to talk a little bit about some of the cocktails we had and made for the show, see what some of the listeners were drinking, and talk about some of our favorites. So let's take a quick break. We'll go mix up a couple ginger limoncello sparkly drinks, and we'll be right back.
Spoiler warning for 2022. If you've listened to this and 2022 has ended, the year ended. And we're going to spoil that for you. We're going to talk a lot about
spoil the whole year.
Spoil the whole year. It ended, and time is moving irreparably into the past. We're going to talk a lot about the movies and favorite cocktails and favorite shows, and a lot of stuff. We're going to try and keep the spoilers to a minimum. However, you've been warned. So I don't know. There were, like you said, there were 49 movies we covered. A lot of them were current films. That was a kind of directional shift that we did this year, that we were able to do because movies came out again for the first time in a couple of years. So
also, it was a little self-serving because we're like, we have a lot of Oscar movies to watch, so why don't we just talk about those on the main show? Yeah,
that's right. So we're going to talk a lot about movies that we liked. We're going to try and keep the spoilers to a minimum, but you've been warned. And spoiler alert on all the cocktails, because now there's no excuse. If you liked a cocktail, there's no time like now. You can go back, look at our website. It's got all the recipes. We've got TikToks now on half of the lobby bar stuff. You got no excuse. And if you have a question, you can always email us. drinkthemovies@gmail.com. We would love to talk to you more about cocktails. If you're like, hey, I really want to do this, but I have a question.
That's right.
We're going to spoil and talk about all those things.
We're going to spoil and talk about all those things. Yeah. And you mentioned cocktails and sending us in an email. One of my favorite things that we started up this year was our Discord server, Michaela, which anyone is free to join. If you go to the link in any of the bios or any of the things that we're on, you can get a link to that. But we had a lot of people on there sharing cocktail recipes and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun. A really good way to share and get some information. And I wanted to run through, because we got a couple of feedbacks here on the Instagram. What were people's favorite cocktails of the year? And Max from Galaxy of Film podcast, he says that he is still hung up on our Tic Tac recipe back from episode 38, Juno. Max, I guess, is a fan of Sunny Delight, and who isn't? To be fair, that actually spawned one of the earlier lobby bar episodes where we made the orange creamsicle cocktail at the Sunny Delight too. So definitely a good one, Max. Thanks for that. And then we have Bobby Frick, who is a friend of the podcast. He actually submitted two. He's over on our Patreon submitting cocktails all the time. And the first one is the Monkey 47 gin and tonic. Who doesn't love a gin and tonic? And who doesn't love Monkey 47? Michaela, have you ever had that gin? That's from the Black Forest region of Germany.
No. Oh, yeah, no. It sounds amazing.
It is amazing. It's a really good gin. It actually comes in a really cool bottle. It's like this old, little old timey medicine looking bottle. It's an excellent gin. A little on the pricey side, but if you're a big fan of gin, definitely want to check out the Monkey 47 gin and tonic. And then also shared this recipe with us: the Jubilee Old Fashioned, bourbon, apple brandy, ginger syrup, and a clove spiked orange peel. Bobby Frick, man after our own hearts. That sounds delicious. We got into a lot of apple brandy this year. Several things. Pink Lady Macbeth had some apple brandy. That was a potent one, if I do recall.
Yeah. Oh, and it needed to be, because that film, woo, it's a hard watch, man. I mean, as Macbeth should be, right? Very dark, very stormy, very.
Yeah, it was a stark one, and the drink was a delicious one. But yeah, it was a little tough. But wanted to talk a little bit about some of the cocktails that we did over the course of the year, Michaela. There were a lot. Obviously, we put out one of these episodes every week. We do all the lobby bars, so we concoct a lot of concoctions around Drink the Movies. But one of my favorites, and maybe kind of the benchmark of the hallmark of Drink the Movies this year, was a cocktail we didn't come up with at all. They came up with it at Fanny's at the Academy Museum. Julian and Christina Cox, the expert mixologists, and Amy McCullough, who works with them, got us, in touch with them, got us the recipe. But that was the Coda cocktail, Michaela. Top notch.
That was, oh my gosh, one of the most beautiful cocktails I've ever seen. It's a beautiful cocktail to make. Really tasty. Just the blue color is just amazing. If you're not familiar with this, please go back and look at it. I think you can go and see the menu that Fanny's made for the Oscars last year. And a lot of things happen around that time. We did our Oscar show, and we've done it before, but it really took on a whole new kind of world when we kind of partnered with Fanny, and huge thanks to them, because I certainly would have never been able to make this cocktail without knowing. When you look at something, it was like one of the first times we ever did a real milk punch. We dabbled with it before, but it's just just a really amazing movie, and it was an amazing drink. That whole week, I think, is one of the top weeks in the Drink the Movies history for
Mhm.
me, but also definitely a standout for 2022.
Yeah, absolutely. That was probably the most beautiful drink I think of the year. Maybe one of the most beautiful drinks we've probably uh, ever made, for sure, and absolutely delicious. And thank you again to them for sharing that cocktail with us. But yeah, that kind of was like kind of the high point, and something that I noticed. I was going back, or kind of making just a few notes for the year, but it seemed like we really kind of honed in this year on kind of one of the themes of Drink the Movies is we try to get a cocktail that pairs up with the movie in some way, shape, or form. But we did a lot of aesthetic kind of pairing this year, and it started off with the very first episode we did this year, the red pill and blue pill for the Matrix series, and then carried on to stuff like Coda, the Encanto, kind of in the colors of the Colombian flag, the Velociraptor for Jurassic World. So a lot of kind of aesthetic pairings this year, Michaela.
Yeah, and I think we experimented a bit in techniques of doing things that we hadn't before. I mean, one of my favorite experiences was when we covered Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. That was about midway through the year, episode 80, and
Hmm.
we did Marion's Martini Cocktail, and we partnered with the Loxley Distillery. That was really, really cool, and they kind of showed me how to infuse liqueur in a really quicker way than
Hmm.
taking days where you just take, I think it was peppercorns and hyacinth. It was a flower and some peppercorn that you put in the liqueur, and you could put
Hmm.
it in a whipped cream shaker, like one of those things with nitrix. Like,
It's whipped
hold
cream
on.
dispenser, yeah, and it's
Yes.
has
Okay.
the little CO2 cartridges
Yeah.
that's there that yeah, it kind of
It was a
force
much
force infuses
Yeah. And I
the
had never done
ingredients.
anything like that before. And of course, it was one of those things where we'd run out of time, but I'd found this amazing recipe and I was like, oh, we got to do it. So, really cool way of kind of infusing anything, and whether it's vodka or something else. It was really, really cool, and never done anything like that before. And the drink was
Hmm.
delicious, and the people were so nice. Again, I mean, we really started to reach out to different entities if we liked a cocktail, and tried to really spread our love of cocktails and movies and create some community before this year. And so that was a really great memory of mine.
Yeah, for sure. We did. We got into stuff like that. Some other new techniques. You were making stuff with the luster dust, so we had a lot of really interesting looking and tasting cocktails, kind of in that sense. And yeah, just a bunch of really standout, delicious cocktails. We covered Top Gun Maverick, one of the biggest films of the year, one of the biggest films of all time. Something when we made the cocktail, we had no idea that Top Gun was going to be kind of as big and as successful. But the cocktail we had for that one with the orange marmalade. That one was just absolutely delicious, and probably I don't know if it's my number one cocktail of the year, but the one that I made time and time again because it was perfect to batch out into big batches for parties, perfect for the summertime. But that was the peach gin lemonade from A League of Their Own.
Yes.
That one was delicious, and I just, anytime we had like more than like two people coming over to the house, I'm like, I'm gonna make up a batch of peach gin lemonade. Everyone's gonna be amazed. They're gonna say, "Where did you get that recipe?" And I'm gonna say, "I got it from episode 88 of Drink the Movies."
That's right. I have to say that was a really fun week because we got to watch a great film. It's a film that I really loved. We got to talk a lot about some of the nostalgia around that whole thing. It was historic as well, so you learned a couple of things, or at least I learned a couple of things that I didn't know before. And then that cocktail, whew, is amazing. It was perfect for the summer. It was perfect for groups. Really fun. But nothing compares to some of the downers. We had some like awesomely bad cocktails, and I'm just gonna go out there and say it. I'm really sorry. I'm really, really sorry, Brian, that your favorite movie had a cocktail that you hated because it wasn't even a
Oh,
cocktail, it was a shot.
yeah, it
And
was a
it
shot. Yeah,
basically was coconut on top of coconut with coconut flakes. But it did look great. Terminator
it
2's
did.
Judgment Day, the liquid metal cocktail looked really amazing.
Yeah.
And I wasn't thinking about it at the time when I was scouring the world trying to make a drink that would pay homage to the T1000. I'm really sorry that it didn't taste good, Brian, for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, the liquid metal
Sorry.
was like the T1000, and I was like Arnold, the T800, and this thing just kept punching me in the face with how much I hated it, versus how much I love Terminator 2. But that's okay. It did look really cool, and yeah, it brought in that luster dust. That kind of got us, on the bandwagon for that and making really fun, kind of sparkly cocktails. Stuff like the Witch's Brew or the whatever we did for
The
Hocus
Witch's
Pocus
Heart
2.
for Hocus
The
Pocus
Witch's Heart
2.
had some of that in there, a bunch of really cool stuff. So yeah, so they weren't all highs, but I will say overall, I would give us a solid A overall for our cocktail making this year. Really
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, certainly nothing like the year before, where the reason why we had a lobby bar, and we've been asked this, so I feel like we should tell the story. We were
Mhm.
asked to do a lobby bar, or we were asked once where the lobby bar came from. It wasn't because we needed more to do. It was because we did a film. I believe it was Independence Day,
It was Independence Day.
and
Yeah.
the song was the Fat Lady. The song, the cocktail was the Fat Lady song, and it was absolutely horrendous. It was horrible.
Yep. Can
I
confirm.
try. It was in. I can't even explain how bad it was. And Brian took one sip and said, I bet I can do better next week. And so that was the
Yeah.
birth of the lobby bar, where we were like, hey, what if we found some drinks that were pretty easy for any normal person to make, that's not going to spend 3 days making a milk punch or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's get into it. And so that was the birth of it.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, a lot of really good stuff. We also visited a couple of classics. We did the Tanqueray Martini from House of Gucci. We did the White Russian from Big Lebowski, one of Michaela's favorite movies. Finally got that one ticked off of the board. And yeah, just covered a lot of really fun movies, some of our absolute favorites, some new releases, a bunch of Oscar films. We kind of covered the gambit. And then, of course, we did our month tribute to Halloween spooky movies. We did our holiday movie month here. So we have the full 12 days of Christmas ready to go for next year when we unleash those back into the world. But yeah, a lot of really fun cocktails for sure, and excited to dig into some more here as we get into 2023. So everyone out there listening, let us know what your favorite cocktail was from a show, or if you had another favorite cocktail, let us know that on any of the social medias or online through the website, however you want to do it. But Michaela, it wasn't all cocktails. Sometimes we had to sit down, watch some TV shows, and there was a lot of pretty good television. So why don't we take a quick break, and we will be right back to talk about this year in television. So, Michaela, if you were ever not sure what you could be watching on TV, this year we had Ozark, Better Call Saul, The Boys, Moon Knight, Yellowstone, House of Dragon, Handmaid's Tale, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Andor, Rings of Power, Stranger Things, White Lotus, Severance, The Bear, and like 1,000 other things. If you couldn't find something on TV this year, you probably don't have a TV, I guess, is the
Yeah,
is the only
then
thing.
you just don't like television. And that's okay. But we do a lot of that. It's been hard because we love films. But we also love watching series, and we've really gotten into some new series, and we finished up some old ones. Ozark finished. They finally had their season finale. Yeah, the Boys was very good. I think they've been released for another season. Oof. And
Yeah.
then we started some new ones like House of the Dragon. That was a brand new one. Obi-Wan Kenobi was just a one season. Rings of Power just started. Yeah. And then Stranger Things kind of set everything up for its pinnacle final season.
hmm Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there was a lot of crazy stuff going on in TV. Like you said, some things coming to an end. Ozark, Better Call Saul. Those are the concluding. Got some other things. Handmaid's Tale, Stranger Things are setting up for kind of their final run. And just some absolutely incredible television this year. And that doesn't even get into any of the other comedies and miniseries and all sorts of stuff that we watched on TV. So kind of took a little informal poll again on Instagram. What were some favorites this year? We got a vote from the Force Time podcast, who says Obi-Wan Kenobi. That is a good pick. Max again from Galaxy of Film says Atlanta, which is a show that I'd started a few years back, but I didn't keep up with really. Everything I always hear about it is how excellent it is, and absolutely love Donald Glover. So I definitely need to go back and rewatch that. Was Atlanta something you ever got into, Michaela?
I didn't. I did not. And it's been on my list for a really long time and I just can't ever seem to make it happen. Um, but yeah, I hear that that is excellent.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have to check that out here in the coming year. Let you know what we have to say about that. And then Bobby Frick is back again. Says that Andor, Stranger Things, and Wednesday, which just came out on Netflix, some of the favorites there for the year. Now I have not watched Wednesday, but I also hear a lot of good things about that. I think you guys were watching
Yeah.
that one, maybe.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's really good. And what I'll say is that it's good for kids. Like I let my 7-year-old watch it. And I felt it was appropriate. I didn't think there was anything amiss there, but I also thought that it was really engaging for adults. It kind of reminded me of kind of it has an Agatha Christie kind of mystery tone to it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I really enjoyed it. And I think the actors are really good. The writing is really clever. So yeah,
Okay.
that
Yeah.
was kind of a late bloomer because that came out only a few weeks ago. I want to say on Netflix, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it came out, well past Halloween, I guess, which is when you might
Yeah,
think of something like that coming out. But yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it, so definitely going to have to look into that. But yeah, there was so much really good stuff on there. I kind of rattled off about 100 things, and those are all things that I watched and thought were pretty brilliant. Better Call Saul wrapped up. It's my favorite TV show of all time. I really like the way that it ended. I really like the way that everything ends, though. So don't take my word on stuff like that. But my favorite TV show, Michaela, I don't know. I don't think you got a chance to watch that, but it's The Bear with what's his name? Jeremy White, I think is his name, who's playing the lead in that one. Absolutely fantastic. Really, really good, really compelling stuff. Jeremy Allen White is his name. Yeah, it's going to be something to keep an eye on here as we get into the second season. I think will be coming out this later this coming year. But what about you, Michaela? What were some of your favorites, or what was your favorite show of the year? It's hard to say what your favorite is because everything is a little bit different, and there's so many great ones.
yeah, yeah. So let's see here. I liked House of the Dragon. It's great if you are a fan of kind of the idea of Game of Thrones and all of that. There were some things. I mean, we could talk about House of Dragon. We could do a whole podcast about that. There were some things I didn't love about it, but I thought that was good. Stranger Things, I love. I love almost everything about it, even though sometimes it drives me nuts. I think that the art direction and making that whole time period in the world kind of happen. And the way that they do it is really good. I thought Severance was super clever and just terrifying at the same time.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with Succession, which is also amazing and terrifying at the same time.
Yep.
I've just finished season 3 of Succession, which came out this year. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And here's the thing, Brian, is you will tell me, hey, you need to go see this. You need to listen. You need to go see this. And I will put it on a list. And then I have to get into the right frame of reference to be able to see it.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
tried to see Better Call Saul and start that whole thing up because you said it finished and it's your favorite of all time. And I got into like 1 or 2 episodes and I just didn't, nothing happened with it. So I kind of quit. So I have to restart it. But I hear consistently that that is amazing. I've also heard that The Bear's really good and I've just not gotten around to see it yet. So it made my list, but a couple of things that I really did like the last season of Animal Kingdom, which is was brought to us by TNT. I think now you
Hmm.
can find it on Netflix. That is always kind of a good show. It's kind of like Sons of Anarchy on a
Okay.
surfboard, and
Oh,
that's kind of if you like that, that's kind of fun.
no,
Um,
it's like Point Break, just in
so
general.
yeah,
It's just like Point
okay.
Break.
It's like Point Break, except sad face, Patrick Swayze, nowhere in sight. There was another one that I feel, and I have to look it up now. Season 2 of The Witcher was really fun.
No.
My husband's a big fan of The Witcher, and sad face. I don't know if they're going to make a season 3 now, which makes me really sad. But
Yeah.
that was really fun. Um,
Yeah, that was a shocker. I think they announced that Henry Cavill was not going to be back. So I don't know if that is just on the back burner, if that's going to continue. But you have to be careful with your Netflix shows because they might just get yanked from the rug on you at any given moment. But you know, sometimes there are things that are absolutely brilliant on Netflix that came out this year. A lot of the miniseries really good. Inventing Anna was excellent. That starred Julia
Yes.
Garner from Ozark. That one was really fantastic. There were a bunch of really good miniseries on this year as well.
Yeah. So there was one Out of Range. I saw season one of that. That was kind of interesting. Season two of Upload was really kind of fun. Season one was way better, but season two was good. I really thought that the what's okay. It's sorry. I'm just trying to find it. It's the it's the one based on all of the books, and it's got that very strange. It's on HBO. Hold on, I'm looking it up. Oh, His Dark Materials.
Mm. Hmm.
That was absolutely wonderful. If you enjoyed like the Golden Compass series, okay. They did a film about 15 years ago now of the Golden Compass, and it was going to be part of a series, and it didn't end up getting made. All of the other ones didn't get made. It really pissed off the Catholic Church. But HBO, I guess, thumbed their nose at that whole thing and said, we're going to do it anyway, and we're going to make a series. And it's really, really good. You know, there's just so much out there. The more that I think about the series that we've watched in the last year that have come out.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and there's been so much good stuff recently. You don't even think about stuff that came out in the earlier part of the year. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, you know, out this past February, absolutely excellent in its
So
fourth
good.
season. So yeah, I mean, there is just so much good television coming out now, which really is kind of, I don't know, I think we're going to get to a head here now, Michaela, because we had the last 2 years where movie theaters were, you know, basically at a bare minimum, you
Right.
know, capacity, and now things are getting back. So it's going to be interesting to see how these streaming services and everything, because every channel has a streaming service now, and they're coming out with their own original stuff. There's a new Ryan Johnson kind of whodunit crime drama kind of thing that's coming out right at the turn of the year that I'm very excited for. Last of Us from HBO, I'm very excited for. So yeah, just a ton of really great television right now. And you're probably going to want to keep an eye if you like talking about television, if you like getting into series, you're probably going to want to keep an eye on our Patreon because we might be dabbling into some TV series on that. So patreon.com slash drink the movies. And, you know, we'll of course be doing cocktails and maybe some weekly check-ins if, you know, we get some feedback, if there's a show that we really want to talk about or people really want us to talk about. So, yeah, keep an eye on that. But I don't know, Michaela, I think TV shows are all well and good, but we are drink the movies after all. So why don't
We
we
are.
take a quick break and we're going to be back to chat about this year at the box office and this year in the movies and this year at Drink the Movies. So we'll be right back.
So this year we saw a lot of movies at the theater, and I'm really happy
We
to say
did.
that because
Hmm.
you know, we're Drink the Movies, and for a good when we started this podcast, there was no movie watching in a theater unless it was like a personal theater that we had, like, you know, in your theater room or on my third floor. There was just
Yep.
no going to the theater, and then we would go to the theater and be terrified and have like tons of masks on and be worried. And we're still very, very cautious. I don't want to say we've thrown caution completely afar, but it's been really nice to go back to the theater. I really enjoy the movie going experience in general. My husband likes to go get, you know, beer and popcorn and really just enjoy it. And we've seen a lot of films in the theater all together, and that's been really fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We have seen a lot of films in the theater and, you know, some films on our own too. I will say that this year, 2022, I saw more movies in the theater than I probably have collectively in like the whole of my life. I was at the movie theater all the time. Now, close to us, we have Regal theaters. So we are members of the Regal Unlimited, which is a really good option if you have Regal theaters in your area. It's like, what's that? It's like $19 a month, and then you can either go see movies for free or just pay a little bit of a surcharge if you're seeing something like an IMAX or 3D or something like that. But that has definitely paid for itself, especially, there was a time when we went and saw, I like movies like 3 weeks in a row. We saw like Top Gun and Doctor Strange, and The Northman, I think all in like that same week. But to kick
Yeah.
off our movie going, we were in the throes uh, of Oscar watch season. And if there's two things that are true about Oscar watch season. It's exciting and it's nice because you're watching all the Oscar movies. You feel some sense of pride checking them off of your list. But you also have like this existential dread because you know that these movies are going to be difficult to watch and cover heavy subject matter,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be a downer, to be quite honest. Love you Oscars, love you sad movies, but some it's just a downer. That's one truth. And the other truth is that you need to pick up your spirits a little bit, and that's what we did. Our first movie watch of the year, Michaela, we went and saw Uncharted. It was a fan request from our friend Cassia, who said, "Hey, I really like the video game Uncharted. Go watch this movie and make a cocktail." And that's what we did.
That is what we did.
We will basically, if you ask us to do something, we probably will do it.
We'll probably do it. Just let us know. So yeah, we did. I remember Everything's Better with Tom Holland making fancy drinks, going around the world looking for all sorts of things like gold and pirate ships. And it was a fun adventure for sure. I didn't realize that was the first one we did this year.
Yeah.
But we saw a lot of cool things in the theater, and we saw a lot of cool theaters. I think my favorite theater going experience for this year, I have to say, was when you and I snuck off and watched Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, which was playing at a very special theater.
That's right. Yeah, it is playing at the Independent Picture House here in Charlotte, North Carolina. It had just reopened to the public, I think, at the time that we went. But we saw the previews for Marcel the Shell. We definitely wanted to go see it, and we definitely wanted to go check out this little movie theater. It was awesome. It was a really great experience. Had some popcorn. You had some straight from the tap, some prosecco.
They had prosecco on tap. It's amazing.
I don't know if you got a tap of prosecco for Christmas, but maybe that's the gift for next year. But yeah, going to see Marcel the Shell, that was an awesome experience. And over the last couple of years, we'd been to some movies, but it was Marvel movies. Those were the only things that were coming out. So to see something that was, a little bit more, indie type of a film, lower budget, with really great story, really great writing, and the little cutest little shell Marcel ever, you got to go see it. And yeah, definitely go and support if you have like little local theaters like that. Definitely go and check them out because they're a lot of fun and they could definitely use your support. Even though the box office numbers are starting to go up, but definitely go and support your local theaters. And who else loves Marcel the Shell? That is Max from Galaxy of Film. He said that was his favorite movie of the year, Michaela, and that is a really good pick because I don't know if it's my favorite movie of the year, but it is definitely up there. But you know what was my favorite movie of the year? Maybe Bobby Frick Says Everything Everywhere All at Once. Had a chance to go see that at the movie theater. That's really high up on some Oscar lists, as it should be, because it is excellent. Made it out to see that one. It was really good. You haven't had a chance to watch that one yet, Michaela?
I have not. I missed the boat when it was out in the theater, and then it came out again for like a week, and I missed it then. So I am really hopeful that it comes to a theater or that it opens up on a streaming service. I haven't checked in recent history for when it will or if it will, but it is definitely going to be up for a bunch of Oscars. So I hopefully didn't miss the boat completely on that one because I've heard it's so good. I will watch it at some point. It's just a question of if we'll make it in time for the Oscars. Because I've heard it's amazing, and you've said a couple of times, and I trust your judgment. Sometimes I know I'm late to the pickup, but I end up getting there, and then I understand. But I did really love Marcel the Shell with Shoes On. I'm glad it's made. I don't know how exactly it has done this, but it's made the cutoff for Best Animated Film because portions of it are animated. And so I'm really hoping that at least gets an Oscar nod. In my opinion, it's probably the best animated film I've seen all year. Just because of the messaging and just the sheer creativity around it. It's really good. And if anybody out there's watching thinking, oh, I might give it a shot, it's great for kids. My kid was in school, so we didn't take him, but when we went, but it's fine for kids. And it's fine for adults, and it's just amazing. And Isabella Rossellini's in it. It's so good. There's no reason not to watch this film.
Yeah, it's a very touching little story, and yeah, definitely glad we were able to go and see that at the Independent Picture House here in Charlotte. So definitely kudos to them, and hope to get back up there here in the not so distant future to check out some more movies. But you got to go to the IMAX screen, to see some things, right, Michaela? I think we might have seen all of these in IMAX, all of the Marvel films that came out this year. If any industry could survive anything, that is the juggernaut of Disney's Marvel Studios. So we saw, what did we even see there? We saw Doctor Strange this year. We saw I don't even know. We saw a lot of things.
We saw a lot of things. We saw Wakanda Forever.
Universe.
We saw Doctor Strange and the multitude of the multi-universe of madness.
The multiverse.
Just at the back end of 2021, beginning of 2022, we saw the latest Spider-Man film, which, spoiler alert, all of the Spider-Man come on the scene, and it's amazing. And that was really still taking hold of the box office in January of 2023. So I feel like that counts.
Yeah, that still counts. And we saw, it wasn't all just Marvel. We went and saw the Batman from the DC, got that one checked off. And, we also saw some other kind of more independent films and some things that I really liked. One of my favorites of the year, you and I went to see, was Nope. Jordan Peele, very excellent little movie that looked stunning on the big IMAX screen, I will say. As not a huge moviegoer, at least in history. Maybe I've been converted now, but that one looked absolutely great, and I really like that one. We covered that on an episode right about the time that came out. The Flying Horse Cocktail.
Flying Horse Cocktail. It was really good. Nope was so good, and it's so hauntingly good because we saw it, and there's still parts of that film that I think about. It's really well done. The cast is great. Really good, like kind of like monster alien film, just really fun. I have to say, one of the best films that I think I saw this year that we have not covered, but let's face it, it's going to be up for an Oscar, so we're probably going to talk about it at some point, was The Fabelmans. You're going to laugh because I'm going to say something here and you're not going to believe it, but very rarely do I cry the first 10 minutes of a film. And I totally got weepy in the first 10 minutes of this film, just because of the way it depicts this really wonderful family. And Steven Spielberg was like sending us a love letter to any child who was like in love with movies, and kind of, whether it's truly an autobiographical film or not. We could talk about it a later time, but I just loved the look and feel. Almost everything about this film was just absolutely amazing. It really reminded me of the way I felt seeing Coda. It's really kind of family oriented, like coming of age, but where there are adult themes, but it's not an adult film, like, so kids could, not kids, but young people could watch it and still understand, but adults are going to get something different out of it. Really loved The Fabelmans. We just gotta, I don't know if we'll ever cover it. We got to find a cocktail that would work.
that'll be good for the
moving
Fabelmans.
Picture cocktail.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that was absolutely excellent. And yeah, you make some good kind of comparisons there, Dakota, and that's going to, get some comparisons come Oscar time for sure. So we'll be sure to talk about that as we start to get into our lead up to the Oscars. But Michaela, you said you cry at the first 10 minutes of movies. You do that all the time. And this was a movie that everyone saw, including us. It was a favorite from Flagiamo on our Instagram. That is Top Gun Maverick. Yeah. Everyone's favorite. You were crying like a baby, not in the first 10 minutes. In the last 10 minutes, though, you were for sure shedding a few tears. But what can we say that hasn't been said about Top Gun? We covered it in a whole episode. And you know what makes me mad about Top Gun Maverick is I look at it and I see all the money that it's made, and I see all the critical acclaim that it's getting, and I say, I really want to not like this movie, but it's so good. It's a really good movie.
It's really good. What can we say about Top Gun Maverick? What I'm finding that's really amazing about this film is it did such a good job of paying homage to the first one. And I probably say something like this at the end of the episode we did, but it does a great job of paying homage to the first one, and also having new meat, new things to cover, some different conflicts. You really see Maverick in a very different way, because he's grown. He is now 40 years older or whatever. And it's really cool the way that they do it. And I mean, a friend of my son's was talking to me, and he's a little bit older than my son, but he was like, "Hey, I watched Top Gun." And I said, "Oh, you watched the new one? That's really cool." And he's like, "No, I watched the original. And it's so much better than the second one, even, because all these things happen. And it really, it inspires people to go back and understand where Maverick started and why he's making the decisions, and why, Goose and Rooster had why Rooster had the dynamic he had with him. And I think that's really special, because we've covered a lot of, movies with sequels. And I think that's the same thing that kind of happened in Terminator 2, where if you hadn't seen Terminator 1 and you went and saw it, you wanted to go back and see the first one, because you wanted to understand more about how they got there in the first place, because the story in the second one was so compelling to begin with. And so, yeah. I think it's going to do really well. Whether or not it's going to get an Oscar for it is, I don't know how I feel about that, but it made a ton of money, and some of the shots are really beautiful. So who knows?
It made a lot of money. It is dialed in on that cinematography Oscar for sure. Might be my lock. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, it's not even nominated. None of the
That's
nominations are out. So let's not get ahead of ourselves. But speaking of sequels, you bring up a good point. A sequel should do two things really well. It should make you want to go out and see the original, where those ideas and characters came from, but should also stand on its own. And that's why Top Gun Maverick is so great, because you don't have to see the first Top Gun to really understand and really like Top Gun Maverick. Terminator 2, same thing there. It should make you want to go and see the first movie, to seek out those themes. And another sequel that does that really, really well, because it had me wanting to go watch the original one. It's just out on Netflix. If you were hip to going to the movie theater to see it in that 1 week that it was there, that Netflix graced the movie theater screens with. But that is the new Knives Out Glass Onion. Force Time Pod says that's their favorite movie of the year. I don't know if it's my favorite movie of the year, but it's a really good movie. Knives Out, the first movie from Rian Johnson there, was really great. We talked about Rian Johnson's Brick, not this year, but last year. So he has these whodunits down to a T, and Glass Onion is no exception. Really good film. Definitely recommend going to check it out. It just hit Netflix on December 23rd, so you might not have had a chance. You might not have had internet. I was planning to watch it at home with the fam, but no internet there. So yeah. So I still need to see it, and then as soon as I rewatch that, I'm definitely going to want to go back and watch the original Knives Out again.
Yeah, I think Knives Out, the Daniel Craig accented character, you either love him or hate him, right? I mean,
no, you either love him or you love him, because he's great.
He's amazing. I find it hilarious. But I remember seeing it with some friends, and they were like, "Oh God, I don't think I can do the second one because his accent was so off-putting." But it's pretty good, I gotta say. And so I've not seen Glass Onion. It's on my list. I, like you, didn't have internet for about 6 hours out of my day, one of these weekends. So that's what I had planned to do, and that didn't happen. So soon, we'll be able to talk more about it, because I'm sure it's going to be up for something. It's gotten a lot of really good critical acclaim, and so more to come.
Yeah, more to come on that. It's on the Benoit Blanc anthology of films there. So yeah, Daniel Craig, he's great, and he's even extra great in Glass Onion. So really good pick there. But Michaela, this year we covered not only the new movies, but this year on Drink the Movies we covered a lot of kind of all over the place. We did some Oscar movies from last year. Like we mentioned, we did our holiday and our Halloween movies. We did some of our favorite movies. We talked a little bit about Terminator 2, one of my favorite movies of all time. Empire Records, one of my other favorite movies of all time. Talked about those this year. Big Lebowski, I know, was a driving factor in getting you to want to do your own movie podcast one day. We talked about that. Working Girl, so we got into some of your favorites too.
We sure did. We did. I think we did a really good list. There was a good mix of favorites of old and new. When we created this podcast, I took a list of all the films that I loved, and some of them are really just awful and esoteric. And someday I have the dream that we're going to cover them. But I do like the mix that we've had this year. We've had a couple people actually send in requests. So we were asked to do Boondock Saints. We were asked to do Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And we had a couple of really kind of milestone movies, right? So E.T. had their 40th anniversary. So we were able to actually see that in the theater and then talk about it. Poltergeist, I think that was a 35-year milestone movie for the original Poltergeist there. So it's been really nice. Kind of a nice mix of films that were older, that still struck hearts and minds, and then a couple of our favorites in for good measure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we talked all, kind of all over the place, and we really like that. Kind of made the change from doing completely themed stuff to just bouncing around a little bit, and I think that keeps it a little bit more fresh and interesting, and gives some people some opportunities to make requests. So definitely go and do that if you have a movie or a cocktail that you want to see featured on the podcast. Drop us a line, and we're probably going to cover it, because we have our own taste in movies, but we want to make sure that we are reaching out and covering just a broad spectrum of stuff. So, and I think we really did that in both cocktails and movies this year. Michaela, 2022 has been quite an exciting time. We've grown a lot. Kind of the podcast, that's been exciting to see. It's been exciting to see kind of our general knowledge and breadth of the kind of cocktails we make and can feel comfortable making on our own, and stuff like that has been fun. We got to do some fun movie stuff. We were back at Disney and Universal Studios this year, and the Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser. So we got to live in Star Wars for a while. We got to go to Wizarding World, and we got to do a lot of fun movie stuff that year. And hopefully 2023 is going to be, kind of more of the same. Hopefully we're, back in the movie theater, back making cocktails, and back having a lot of fun talking about them.
Yeah, that is the hope. Gosh, I guess now is the time to kind of look to the future and think about what 2023 will bring to us. Any hopes and dreams on your docket for 2023 as far as movies or cocktails, Brian?
Oh man, so my hopes and dreams for cocktails is that I continue to have a couple of really good ones every week. I see that being the case, and I'm really looking forward to the new Indiana Jones film. I don't even know if I'm looking forward to the new Indiana Jones film as much as I know that that's just going to make me rewatch all the other Indiana Jones films. So it's going to be like 5 movies for the price of one, basically. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. That franchise is old and amazing.
Just like Harrison Ford, absolutely. But what about you, Michaela? What are your hopes and dreams for 2023? Anything you're looking forward to, or really want to get into?
No, I mean, gosh, I'm really excited to learn more about all the cocktail making aspects. I mean, I think that I was really just a babe. I was like a child wandering the forest when we first started this cocktail podcast, because I was like, oh, I like to drink cocktails and I like to make them if they're like 3 ingredients or less. And now I think I personally have gotten more adventurous. I've gotten braver in, hey, let's try this technique, or let's set this thing on fire and see what happens. And sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not. We can certainly we should do some blooper outtakes for the kids at home of times that it's not gone well, because that's been hilarious. But it's been a really good learning journey. And I'm always excited for the next movie. I love that we were smarter this time around for Oscar season. So maybe we won't have to watch 56 films. Maybe it'll be something like 30 because we've seen a bunch of them. But we'll see. I mean, we don't know what the nominations are going to look like. So I that is a hope, though, because it does take a lot of time, and they're all like 3 hours long now. So
yeah, true.
Yeah.
True. Yeah, for sure. So, well, thank you so much for joining us on this year-end recap. We just, kind of wanted to throw this episode together, talk a little bit about what we had going on this year, what we, we're up to with the podcast, what everyone's kind of favorite stuff was, and what our hopes were for this coming year. So if you out there listening want to let us know what your favorite things of 2022 were or what you're looking forward to the most in 2023, you can do that online. You can find us basically everywhere now. We're on Instagram and Twitter and Hive. It's at Drink the Movies, and on Facebook.com/Drink the Movies, TikTok, Drink the Movies. Go check us out there and check out the website. It's www.drinkthemovies.com. And if you want to support Drink the Movies and get a little bit of bonus content and all that good stuff, you can do that on our Patreon, which is www.patreon.com/drinkthemovies. And if you want to come and just chat with us, kind of on a more frequently informal basis, check out the Discord. Link is in the bios of all of those websites that I just mentioned. So go check that out and share all the movie, TV, music, cocktail excitement we got going on over there. And, if you had a really nice 2022 and you want to spread the 2022 love with people, maybe leaving a review for one of your favorite podcasts would be something nice. A good way to kick off the new year. Michaela, I think, where should people be doing that?
You can find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and Stitcher and Good Pods and all the places where Anchor podcasts are distributed. It is actually really cool to say that. I know I say that on almost every episode, but it's really cool that we're on all those places. But you can find us, you can subscribe. We do 2 drops a week. As you know, we have the amazing lobby bar that drops Monday or Tuesdays of every week. And then usually around Thursdays, we do our big drop for our deep dive movie cocktail extravaganza. And we got a lot of really fun movies planned for 2023. That being said, leave us a review, subscribe, and leave us a message. There's a bunch of different ways in which you can get a hold of us. Brian, you just listed all of them. Send us a request. Tell us what your favorite movie is. One of my favorite conversations to have with people around the world is what their favorite movie is and why. And we'd love to share the love. We don't have to do our favorite movies because we've done most of them. So we could do yours. And we can find a cocktail, or we can find a movie that matches your favorite cocktail. Let's we're really excited that we're building out this community, and the more we talk about it, the better. It's just really awesome. So yeah, here's to 2023.
Here's to 2023. And speaking of favorite movies, we will be back next week to talk about a lot of people's favorite movie. That is Shawshank Redemption. And we hope you have a safe and happy new year. Be careful out there if you're partying, if you're drinking champagne. Always be safe. And we will talk to you next time on
Drink
the Movies.
May all acquaintance be forgot and never come to. I don't know the words. Should old acquaintance be forgot? I don't even know what that means. Does that mean that you forget your friends on purpose?
It means pop the champagne. Happy 2023.